Russia is making major moves in crypto this week. The community is stunned by the recent meeting between the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the founder of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin. How serious is Russia's endorsement of Ethereum? Why are there reports that Putin is mad about the digital economy? And will Russia coin happen before the FedCoin? There's a lot to unpack, a lot of news coming out of Russia. What does it all mean? Let's discuss. Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. So first I want to say thank you for showing up, thanks for being here and joining me with this video. I love creating these videos and reporting the news and learning about what's happening and bringing this information back over to you. There's so much happening and it's critical that we pay attention. Before I get into the news and go into the market, I just want to say thank you for showing up. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking this video, sharing this video. It really helps the channel. It helps all of us to spread this information to additional people and also grow this channel. As you're probably aware, I have been doing my own thing, helping business owners and executives create visibility and increase their revenue online. What I'm looking to do with my life is to pivot from marketing and technology and helping business owners and traditional businesses. And I really want to shift and help bring information to you, to bring news to you, and to help bring this community together so that we can all share in this new, exciting digital economy. So with that being said, if just hitting that like button is really helpful, and just hitting that like button is really meaningful, or making an account at Steemit and liking these videos on Steemit, it really means a lot, and every little bit is appreciated 100%. Thank you very much. Comment in the comments below and say hello, introduce yourself, and I'd love to say hello to you and maybe see an avatar to the face. But all right, so with the news, there's been a lot coming out of Russia. There has been some blockchain meetings and discussions at different levels of business and government coming out of St. Petersburg, Russia. And with that, just not only is it major news, but it's major news that reaches every single level of the Russian business world, of the Russian government. Not only are business people, business leaders, institutions, banks, government officials, the Russian bank, but even the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin himself, getting deeply involved with cryptocurrency in an extremely visible way that is just creating a lot of buzz, a lot of news in the community. He's meeting with Vitalik, the founder of Ethereum, and talking about cryptocurrency and talking about things that Putin likes and that Russia may like about blockchain, and talking about things that they don't like about blockchain. And even going so far, after having a lot of back and forth, if they're going to legalize Bitcoin or make it illegal or extremely regulated, what we're seeing is Russia moving in the direction where Bitcoin is going to be flooding the Russian market, but at the same time, Russia is going to be developing the Russia coin. I mean, is it just me, or does that sound really crazy that there's actually a major government talking about a digital version of the national cryptocurrency at a national scale, of which the GDP is, more than that of Bitcoin, more than that of, the Apple stock, right? I mean, we're talking about the country of Russia and their entire economy. So with that being said, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to unpack. So let's take a peek at the market, dive into the news, and let's discuss. Okay, so popping over here, taking a quick look at the market at coinmarketcap.com. We're looking at Bitcoin. Just amazing, right? Bitcoin is almost $2,700. It's a very large number. The total market cap of all the cryptocurrency is 100,000 million billion, $97 billion. It's almost as if this was billions of dollars less just a couple of days ago, and that's because it was. The amount of money that's flooding into the cryptocurrency universe, this cryptoverse that we have, is just of extreme proportions. And while the money can come out just as fast as that money can come in, it's pretty impressive how fast the money is coming in. $3 billion traded in the past 24 hours. The Bitcoin dominance at 45%. The value per Bitcoin, the total market cap, $44 billion. Again, talking $2,700 price of a Bitcoin. And look at this smooth, steady line going up and up and up. We're up 7% in the past 24 hours. And then here we are with Ethereum. You can see we also have that upward trend. Currently 92 million Ether available in the market. And we don't have an asterisk here, but as we are coming to understand, and as we're learning more and more, it is possible for new Ether to be created. Not only is it possible for new Ether to be created, but as in the case with the original Ethereum hack, if you're not familiar, the reason why we have two Ethereums is because there was, I guess, a flaw in the original system, and someone exploited that flaw, and money was transferred that wasn't supposed to be transferred, according to the intended way that Ethereum was supposed to be used. And so many people didn't like that decision that they reversed the blockchain, that they went back to a certain block number and said, we're going to start from this number. And by making that decision, that allowed Ethereum Classic to fork, and for the miners to let that other version of Ethereum continue living. And so the point of that is that the leaders of Ethereum made a decision to roll back the Ethereum blockchain. And a blockchain being rolled back is like allowing a group of people, or allowing a company to relive last week, right? So say there's Ford and there's Toyota, and Ford and Toyota are both making decisions in the world, but Ford makes a decision that, for whatever reason, they get to go back in time and restart things. That's what Ethereum did. And so some people, one of their complaints about Ethereum is that if they were able to roll back Ethereum once, who's to say that if something major happened, that the powers that be wouldn't be able to roll back Ethereum again? I don't know. Maybe Ethereum is bigger now, and so that'd be more difficult to do. It's hard to say, but the point is those questions about, because it was rolled back once, it's just a black mark on Ethereum if it could be rolled back again. And that's on top of the fact that there is some amount of inflation going on, being that there can be, from what I understand, additional Ethereum created in the market supply. The last thing I want to say about, looking at these numbers, when we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about Ethereum. I'm a major fan of Bitcoin. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I think Bitcoin is the critical foundation for your portfolio. I think Bitcoin is pretty much always going to be the number one coin, if not definitely one of the top 3 coins. And it's huge in terms of the network effect. It's huge in terms of the first mover advantage. It's huge in terms of how all other cryptocurrencies are connected to Bitcoin. And personally, I think that there's going to be a Bitcoin shortage as the major institutions realize the store of value that Bitcoin is and start gobbling it up as major hedges against hyperinflation, which even first world countries could potentially experience under the right circumstances. So when I originally been talking about Bitcoin and there being 16.3 million Bitcoins and only 21 million that will ever be fully created, there's about 350 million people in America. And so if everyone wanted one Bitcoin, then that wouldn't be possible because there's only 16.3 of these things right now. And there's 7.5 billion people in the world. So if everyone in the world wanted one Bitcoin, then that also wouldn't be possible simply because there's only 16.3 million of them. To that effect, because Bitcoin is limited and it's very difficult to change, Bitcoin is great as a store of value. If we get SegWit implemented and then we're able to have really affordable microtransactions, then the Bitcoin, I think, could completely moon because just the demand would be so fluid and so much money would be going into Bitcoin because then it would be a store of value and transactional currency, and that would make, I think, the value and demand of Bitcoin skyrocket. Ethereum, on the other hand, is more of a commodity. So Ethereum is created and Ethereum is destroyed on purpose. Gas is burned, Ethereum is burned, and then it's gone. So I think of Ethereum more like oil, more like petrol. And so if everybody wanted Ethereum all at the same time, and there's only 92 million Ether right now, it's absolutely possible that, in my opinion, the way that I understand, the economies and the market, and feel free to comment if you agree or disagree below. But if everybody wanted one Ether, and there's only 92 million of them, and there's 300 million people in America plus, then I think that price, you just take $1 million times the total number of Ether. That'd be the market cap that would have to go into Ethereum, and although that would be a huge number, it's definitely possible and it's definitely reasonable, just as reasonable as when we talk about Bitcoin mooning. To that same effect, if the demand for Ethereum was extreme on a global level, and what are we going to be talking about in a second? Russia endorsing Ethereum, and so if Russia put a major spotlight on Ethereum and then everybody wanted Ethereum, it's absolutely possible that every Ethereum could go higher than the value of every Bitcoin, even though if and when that did happen, it would be just as possible for the Ethereum price to crash if the demand of Ether then decreased, right? It's the same as gasoline. If everyone has petrol cars and we all need gas to make these cars work, then the value of gas and oil is going to be higher. But if all of a sudden all the cars are electric cars, or they all run on water or vegetable oil or something like that, then the demand for petrol goes down, and so the value would go down. So it's just important to recognize that when the news comes out, we can all have our own opinions about if this would happen, and if this did happen, then would that happen, right? These philosophical conversations. But I think it's safe for us all to agree that if Russia had a major endorsement of Ethereum and then backed up that endorsement with execution, strategy, implementation to increase the usage and adoption of the many Russians across the world, then that can create an accelerating effect for the market cap of Ethereum and for the demand of Ethereum. And so I just want to throw out that potential is absolutely there. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the value of Ethereum theoretically could absolutely become more than Bitcoin. Although Bitcoin is a long-term store of value because of the properties that everybody is complaining about today. So, turning to today's news, we have this first article from the Cointelegraph.com where suddenly Vladimir Putin meets Vitalik Buterin and endorses Ethereum. And there's this nice little picture of Putin and Vitalik holding, little baby Ether's hands. And so jumping right into it, the cryptocurrency community is left for sure stunned by the recent meeting between these two. Putin becomes a fan of the blockchain. And as commented by the Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov during the meeting, Putin and Buterin discussed the application of the technologies in the country. So the application of Ethereum in Russia is what Putin and Buterin talked about. The president supported the idea of establishing new business relationships following the road paved by blockchain technology. And so Putin is interested in developing new relationships and new applications of blockchain technology in Russia. Let's go on. Earlier during the forum, the first Deputy Prime Minister Igor Shuvalov said that Putin is really enthusiastic about the idea of building a new digital economy in the country. Is that a fact? And that Putin shared at the moment at least 3 directions of blockchain applications that are currently being explored and tested. This is just so ripe. So these are the 3 applications that Putin that they've announced publicly that Putin and the Russian government is seeking to apply blockchain technology and presumably, potentially Ethereum blockchain technology. 1, tracking of goods. 2, building identity. So identity systems of people and things. And then 3, ownership rights. So they want to track goods, they want to track people, and they want to track ideas. That's what's going on here. Very interesting, all legitimate applications of the blockchain that are all being worked on all over the world. But in this case, it's not just business leaders and academics and economists. This is the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. So Russian regulators have been struggling so far trying to find a way to put blockchain applications inside the existing regulatory framework. Russia and every other first world country that there is. So has first they tried to destroy it, then they tried to dismiss it, and now they're trying to fit it into the existing framework, since they know, and as most of us are aware, they're not going to destroy it. And the best chance they have of just destroying it is really by controlling it and then using fear and uncertainty and doubt to get people to use alternative systems. The best way to destroy a blockchain technology is to divide that technology. The more you divide the strength of the technology, the use of the technology, the adoption of the technology, then the weaker then that blockchain can become. So pseudo-anonymity is what concerns them the most, is what concerns the Russians. And as we've seen from previous reports, it's also what concerns the FBI in America the most as well, is the pseudo-anonymity of the blockchain technology. And so Vitalik says, I think this dilemma has no resolution. Regulators will always try to come up with new ways to control and analyze transactions, and people will always try to think of ways to hide these transactions. It's a sort of mathematical war, but systems properties will never let any of these sides win. So, which is what we hear a lot of different industry analysts, both inside the banking system and inside the cryptocurrency system, both say is that the greater the control and the greater the access that we give authority over information in the blockchain, at the same time, that is a direct cause which leads to a weakness in that blockchain. So the more private and the more anonymity that the blockchain has for the users, then the stronger it is. But at the same time, the stronger it is and the more security it is, the less oversight that the authorities have. So what this means is that if the authorities were to require a society to use, some sort of FedCoin or Russia coin that was highly centralized and concentrated and gave the authorities a lot of insight into everything that was going on, then that currency would be essentially more hackable. That FedCoin or that Russia coin would be more hackable than Bitcoin, which is stronger because of the decentralized distribution of that technology. So the shorter overview is that decentralization equals security. And when you centralize the information, you centralize the power, and you centralize the coin, the weaker it is, the easier it is to hack that particular blockchain. So creativity, innovation brought about by the community are more important than the ones that Vitalik came up with. So just talking about how Ethereum is so much more than what it used to be, and how people are really taking Ethereum and running with it in ways that Vitalik didn't even think were possible at the time. I thought this was really, really interesting. I was really excited to share this with you, where he shared his own, Vitalik has shared his own experience in the blockchain space and what inspires him the most. He said that he started in the blockchain space 6 years ago. He earned 20 Bitcoins. 8.5 of them he invested into buying a shirt. Bitcoins that he spent are now worth $20,000, and the shirt is long gone. But he goes on to say, but what I realized joining this global experiment is that this digital economy system only works if thousands of people around the world work together. And the idea that a few thousand people connected to a network can create an independent financial system impressed him a lot. Ideas of decentralization, cryptography, openness, transparency stunned me. However, the application of blockchain is not limited to cryptocurrency only. It has huge potential to be applied across all industries. So it's really cool how he's talking about the value of those 20 Bitcoins, and how that $20,000 shirt he bought is gone, and but the Bitcoins are still around. So buy and hold those Bitcoins. If you spend those Bitcoins, or that Ethereum, I suppose, replace it. It's okay to spend it if you replace it right away. So what's going on in Russia? Russia's aiming at becoming a global IT leader. The blockchain technology is often compared with other technological innovation, the internet. We've talked about that before. That was one of the first videos that we posted on this station. So just like in the case of the World Wide Web, the countries that decided to be bold and implement the internet technology solutions before anyone else did had a significant competitive advantage over all the competitors, because they were able to be involved in the internet first. They had the infrastructure laid down in their communities first, their cities first, their educational universities and their elementary schools first. People understood the ideas and evolved the ideas in their minds, and were able to grasp email and internet and social media in such ways that those societies, those businesses, those children, and those futures were able to dramatically exceed the countries that didn't adopt this technology. And this isn't any longer the philosophy of the crypto anarchists. This is the viewpoint of the Russian government as led by the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. So Russia has a chance, this article goes on to say, to become one of the leaders in the global IT industry. Even though the details of the meeting between Putin and Buterin were kept under the seal of secrecy, one detail leaked, quote unquote, the president is ready to give full support for the development of blockchain technology, what would definitely result in a much greater volume of investment coming into the country despite any restrictions and sanctions. And yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing too, because Russia's under these restrictions and sanctions because of the invasion of Crimea, and so money's not supposed to be entering Russia because of that, right? But through cryptocurrency, I guess cryptocurrency is really borderless, and that's an aspect of cryptocurrency that exists in the world. So then I want to share with you, I saw this article from Bitcoinist.com that says, Russian government, Bitcoin expanding, Putin mad about the digital economy. So we hear about Putin is so excited about Bitcoin and so excited about what's happening in the digital currency space. Yet Russian President Vladimir Putin is completely mad about the digital economy. And so we saw this guy in the previous article, the first Deputy Prime Minister, Igor Shuvalov, where he said that Putin kept a group of ministers up until 1 a.m. talking about the subject. Wow. During the meeting, which consisted of a small group of government members, Putin spoke exclusively about new technologies and the digital economy. So, first of all, I want to be clear that when we hear about these meetings and we hear a leak from the other article that Putin is ready to give his full support for blockchain technologies, when we hear about this, this information that escaped the room, that a small group of government members and that Putin spoke exclusively about new technologies in the digital economy, Igor or anyone else is not just going to leak this information about what Putin did or said without the explicit instruction of the Russian government to allow this to be said and to get printed into paper. I doubt there's a reporter there that's watching and in the room to actually hear what's being said, right? So if we're reading about this, it's on purpose. And so Russia wants us to know that Putin spoke exclusively about the digital economy and these new technologies. Shuvalov goes on to say that he can straight up tell us that the President Putin is completely mad about this. If you understand that and this is why, and so this is the clue into why Putin is mad. If you understand that the most significant issues about growth revolve around the digital economy and technological leadership. So what does this mean? Is he mad about Bitcoin itself? Is he like, what is he mad? What I read into this is he's mad about the digital economy, that the digital economy is not growing in Russia as fast as Putin would like it to. Putin recognizes that if the rest of the world is developing blockchain technology and building on top of blockchain technology, and Putin is seeing these meetings that are happening in New York City and San Francisco and Germany and the UK and all over the place, Putin wants that growth, that acceleration, that adoption, those investments, that money to go into Russia. And so Putin is mad that the issues of growth around the digital economy aren't growing in Russia. And then also the technological leadership. I think maybe we'll be able to read into this a little bit more, but essentially, just cutting straight to it, Putin and Russia want more leaders of blockchain technology to be Russian. It's just they want more blockchain technology in Russia. They want more Russians leading the blockchain technology revolution. And maybe it's pride, maybe it's nationalism, maybe it's just making sure that everyone is represented in this community, of which I hope everyone of all nations is represented in this community. But that is what Putin is mad about. So let's go on here. Central Bank Deputy Olga Skorobogatova. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Olga Skorobogatova confirmed that lawmakers were pressing ahead with a homemade centralized cryptocurrency. Is that interesting to you? It's a homemade centralized cryptocurrency. I'm not sure which of those three words is the scariest. Homemade centralized cryptocurrency Anyway, known informally as the Russian Bitcoin, or as I was calling Russia coin. So there it is in orange and black and white in the text before you, that the central bank deputy confirmed that the Russian lawmakers are moving ahead with a centralized, a centralized national cryptocurrency. This is the Russian FedCoin that they have now openly stated that they are developing, they are creating, and would also be the only freely tradable currency on the Russian market. So every other currency on the Russian market, maybe they're going to call Bitcoin a currency. Maybe they'll call Ethereum a currency. Maybe dollars will be a currency and rubles will be a currency, but this Russian Bitcoin currency would be the only one that's freely tradable, even though it's centralized, which, as I was saying before, to me that makes it more hackable than a decentralized cryptocurrency. But so this research is going to continue in Russia, and there's going to be a significant period still required before a full implementation happens, so we don't expect to see this anytime soon. At the same time, when they roll it out, I'm sure they'll roll it out pretty quick. Meanwhile, the country's former finance minister, Alexei Kudrin, went on the record in the forum to say Bitcoin usage would expand its boundaries over the next few years. In an interview with Russia Today, he went on to say, "I don't rule out that there's a bubble here in crypto and Bitcoin, but for several years we will have an expansion of Bitcoin use in Russia. We, meaning Russia, are facing risks of deflation, fraud schemes, and a lack of sufficient regulation." I don't know if he's talking about the Russian ruble or if he's talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, but either way. But it's meaning Bitcoin will be used for now with will expand its boundaries. So Bitcoin's entering Russia. Russia's getting Bitcoin. When the banks in America and when the world banks start scooping up and gobbling up Bitcoin as a world reserve currency, then people in Russia are already going to have their Bitcoin because the Russian government's going to allow it to enter inside their boundaries. So when the desert dryness comes and the money desert comes and the cryptocurrency becomes difficult to obtain, there's going to be, theoretically more people in Russia that will have their Bitcoin before that happens. So Russia has indicated a desire to adopt a hard and fast legislation of decentralized assets such as Bitcoin and Ethereum from 2018, adding a provision that while they would be freely tradable on exchanges, transactions would need to be monitored. A lot of regulation, oversight, knowing who's putting money into cryptocurrency and who's getting money out. They're still going to try to regulate the heck out of Bitcoin and crypto. These lawmakers stopped short of explaining how this would happen in practice while announcing that this roadmap earlier this year. So yeah, of course they stopped short of explaining how this would happen. A, they have no idea how this would happen. And B, they're going to need a lot of time just to figure it out. But I think it's clear that they have a head start. They're definitely moving in that direction. And yeah, so much so that they're announcing it to the world. We have so many people in the government that are making so many of these different announcements, from ministers and deputies and people in finance and lawmakers, all the way to the President Vladimir Putin himself. So this is an updated article from Coindesk.com that came out just today, unless he was in here. So Mr. Buterin described the opportunities for using the technologies he developed in Russia. So according to the announcement, so this is a statement released by the Kremlin. So in the Kremlin statement, they were sure to stick in there that that Mr. Buterin, that Vitalik was describing the opportunities for using the Ethereum technologies, which, you know, he developed in Russia. Russia really wants that Russian angle inside the crypto, and so I just see a lot of Russian money going into cryptocurrency like we haven't seen before, because this is going to have the stamp of approval at the highest levels of the Russian government. So from the Kremlin's office, this is a continuation of the statement. We are doing a great deal to create a favorable business climate, and above all, to provide macroeconomic conditions for sustainable economic growth and a stable social system. What does that mean? So that working in Russia is beneficial and pleasant. So making Bitcoin friendly in Russia for sustainable economic growth and stable social system. So working in Russia is beneficial and pleasant. Okay. So blockchain efforts accelerate. So let's wrap this up with just some high-level points to go over what's happening with blockchain, what's happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum inside Russia. So first, Russia's central bank is writing a new law focused on Bitcoin and other digital currencies, how they're going to be regulated, and allowing their use throughout all of Russia, a major world power. And also, the Bank of Russia is interested in developing this national cryptocurrency, Russia coin, the Russian Bitcoin, which would be a centralized a national currency of Russia. Crazy. I mean, is that nuts that a country is actually doing this, what has been theorized for so long? Mind blown. The Moscow Exchange Group was in the final stages of tests on a blockchain-based stockholder voting platform using the Hyperledger fabric, doing that to get additional international investment into the country using the technology. The Moscow Exchange Group was also among the earlier participants in the possible Central Securities Depository Consortium, which I suppose is aimed at leveraging blockchain efficiencies at the highest level of the financial sector. Again, this is probably part of getting the blockchain technologies to fit inside the existing regulatory framework and the existing infrastructure. And that, lastly, the Russian government too has been exploring applications with the Russian Prime Minister and close Putin ally Dmitry Medvedev pushing for research into the tech earlier this year. So that's a lot of information coming out of Russia. This is a lot of articles. This is a lot of news. Sorry for laying so much on you, but I just really wanted to try to give you the full picture. You know, sometimes we see a lot of the headlines, you know, Vladimir Putin mad at the digital economy. Russia endorses Ethereum. Putin meets with Vitalik Buterin. How is it all connected? What does it all mean? What's happening? I hope this provides a little bit of clarity. If the highest levels of the Russian government are endorsing blockchain technology and Bitcoin, and we see all this additional money enter Bitcoin, if we start seeing average people, business people, investors at the highest levels on mass levels through the entire country of Russia start investing into Bitcoin. You know, I'm not exactly sure what the total population of Russia is at the top of my head, but if everybody in Russia wanted one Bitcoin, and there's only 16.3 million Bitcoins, I'm guessing there's more than 16 million people in Russia. And if they all wanted one Ethereum, I'm guessing that there's more than 100 million people in Russia. So it's definitely interesting to see the potential of that flood of cryptocurrency go into the market. And then, you know, again, this is a borderless world now. So if everyone started buying that crypto, that's going to have an effect on the market value of the currency, no matter where you are in the world. So if you're holding, and one day there's that flood of money start coming in, it's going to be a shock that the whole world is going to feel. And what are we going to do when we find out if and when there's a country that's stockpiling Bitcoin as a national reserve? That's going to be the next big news. The last thing I guess I want to say is that now that Russia has said something and now that Putin has said something, there's few other people in this world that haven't talked about cryptocurrency. So I don't think we've heard a lot of news come out about cryptocurrency out of the UK. And I don't think we've heard a lot of news come out of cryptocurrency from China, from the president of China, from the you know, their leader and their government, and then third of all, we haven't heard anything from the American president, our president here in the United States, President Trump, about cryptocurrency. We've heard things from the Senate and from the House and from different levels of even the judicial branch. We've heard about insights from different people inside the Trump administration. But when will we hear something from Trump? When will we hear something from the president of China? And when will we hear that a country, let it be Japan or Australia or even Russia, is stockpiling Bitcoin as a national reserve currency? These are very exciting times, and thank you for showing up and sharing them with me. Thanks for sitting through this video. Thanks for learning all this information. I'm going to wrap up this video now. I've been talking for a while. I know it's a lot of information, but hopefully this has really helped you get a lot of insight about what's going on in that part of the world. So until we get to see each other again, hit that like button, share this video, please comment below, introduce yourself, and say hello, because I really want to meet you. I really want to know who you are, what your questions are, and help bring this community together. So until then, I'll talk to you in the chat and the comments below, and I'm glad that together we're minting coins.